If you're a beginner Space Marine 2 modder wanting to start your first mod, or even an advanced modder working on an upcoming big project that requires a lot of files and tinkering, then you're at the right place. For I will teach you how to use GitHub for your modding projects to avoid future stress. This tutorial was originally made by Neo_Kesha in the modding Discord server all via text, but I decided to turn it into a video since this is such a life-saving tip that a lot of modders should use. All credit goes to them. This video has chapters for easy navigation. All timestamps will be in the description. Without further ado, let's get to it. You might be wondering to yourself, why would it be a good idea to use GitHub to make mods even though you might have a lot of resources under your belt already? If you don't want to hear me out, just skip to the next chapter, but I recommend listening to what I have to say about it, especially if you don't know much about GitHub. First, fast and practical. So let's pretend I have a bunch of files about mod A in my mod source folder, and I want to start from scratch for my mod B. The amount of files I changed for mod A are so much so that I can't even remember them all to cherry pick them in case I would like to update my mod later, but I also don't want to back up the entire folder because of a few files. Sounds painful, right? With GitHub, that won't be an issue. I'll explain more about the matter in the future, but with GitHub you can make mod branches that are independent from one another, and there won't be any conflict. Second, time machine. Another scenario for you. You're working on your mod and decided to make big changes with Integration Studio since you thought it would be necessary, but then you go to test your mod in the game and it suddenly crashed. Why is it crashing? What did I change that could possibly be making it crash? Reverting what you did would help you, but you can't remember for certain what exactly you changed and the impending doom approaches your door since you might have to start from scratch. Ahem. Scary, right? With GitHub, you can keep track of what files you added onto your mod, and it will also keep track of your files' changes as well. No stress, no struggle. Third, version archive. You can also post your mod and your modded files onto GitHub with instructions and all that, pretty useful if you happen to change machines. This tutorial won't cover how to post your mod and modded files onto GitHub, but if this video goes well and you guys request this enough, I'll work on it. I yapped a lot already, let's finally get to what really matters. The only things needed are simply GitHub Desktop and Integration Studio. For the former, you have to make a GitHub account if you didn't already and then download the application onto your desktop. For Integration Studio, if you are a complete beginner, I highly recommend watching my friend's beginner-friendly guide on how to mod SM2, as I won't cover how to mod in this video. That video also covers how to get Integration Studio set up. The link to both that video and the download link for GitHub Desktop will be in the description. After you first install Integration Studio, just leave it as is and don't extract any other files onto your mods_source folder just yet. And for the advanced modders watching this, back up your modded files elsewhere and strip your mod source folder clean as well, with only the files that came from Integration Studio being set in there. With all of that done, let's finally get to it. After getting yourself GitHub Desktop and opening it, go to File, New Repository, and name your repository mods_source. Your local path should be directed to your root folder inside the game files, which usually looks like this. Since I already have mine set up, I'll quickly do a dummy root folder just for the tutorial. Once you create your repository and go to History, you'll see that it'll be created with all the initial files that came with Mod Editor. Now go to Branch, New Branch, and name it Main and the current version of your game files. In my case it's 12.3. Create Branch. Now you'll extract your default other pack files from both client and server side of your game files into your mod source folder. I'll do this real quick without cutting. If you happen to have Git desktop open after doing this process, you'll notice that the changes we made onto this branch were registered successfully. Name the commit something easy that you can identify in the future, press commit and wait for the changes to be applied. If you already know about repositories, branches and commits, you're free to go to the next chapter. If not, stick with me that I'll explain as simple as I can. A repository, or repo for short, is basically a digital space storage for any project, like a super-powered folder that contains all sort of files including code, documentation, images, and even audio. A branch is a separate version of your project in which you can implement bug fixes, new features or even experiment with other stuff without affecting your main project. Each branch works as a different workspace that won't affect each other, and that's useful for us. It will be shown better in a bit. A commit is basically a checkpoint of your project. It records a snapshot version of all files in your repository at a specific moment in time, that way you can revert changes if you mess up. Again, this is better shown when making a mod. This is the very basic/core features of GitHub, and what we will work with the most through the entirety of this tutorial. Now that you have your GitHub set up, let's get into making your mod. Now to make your own mod. Go to Branch, New Branch, and you'll notice that the menu will look a bit different this time. Name your mod however you like, and I recommend adding the game version in front of it too regardless of if it's an overhaul or not. Select the branch it'll be based on, in this case is main 12.3 and create branch. With that new branch selected, you can go to Integration Studio and edit any files to your heart's content. If you did the process I mentioned a few moments ago in case you already had your own mod, after creating your mod branch just paste its contents back in your mod source folder and commit. To showcase the mod making method up close, I will use my custom map files as an example. Going to history, it will show us all the files that were added, edited or deleted since our last commit, and when we click inside a changed file it will show us what we added or changed in its contents. For this part, I'll have to share my entire screen, so say bye-bye to the gameplay for a bit. To show you how a commit works, I'll open Integration Studio and change one of my files. When I open Git Desktop again, it'll automatically detect the change I made and name it an update for a specific file if I mess with only one at a time. When I press commit, it will be separated from the rest, as you can see here. Let me change another file really quick. Checking Git Desktop again, we can see that the edit was successful in my prefab file, but Integration Studio also completely overwrote over my resource file. This is what I meant when I said commit acted like a checkpoint. If you have watched the explanation I did and didn't skip it, that is, in which you can check and even remember what changes you made and what broke in your files without fully relying on memory.
That is nice and all, but what would happen when the game receives an update?
Oh yeah. About that. Okay, so quick disclaimer before we proceed. I originally made this video before the newest patch came out and had to do a dummy update for it, but when I was about to post it the update was released. So now I'll show you in real time using my own files how the change is made. I never did this before so I might not know what am I blabbing about, and to that I apologize. Inside your repository, go to Branch, New Branch and name your branch based on the newest update. Select your old update branch and create branch. On your mod source folder, delete everything except for Git-related files, put in the files that came with the new version of Integration Studio and extract the new vanilla files here again.
A few moments later.
When you're done extracting, name the commit update to main and the current version of your game files, hit commit and wait until it's done. Might take a while depending on the size of the update. Now when it comes to updating your mod, you have to first analyze the vanilla game to see if there will be any significant changes that could affect your mod. If it's a campaign-related mod, there's no need to update it as the campaign is untouched with those updates. Since my mod here gets a bit affected by the newest patch, I'll work on updating it. Select your mod branch, go to branch. New branch and name your new branch based on what we did with main branch, replacing main with your mod name. Select your mod branch and create branch. Go to branch once more, rebase and select your updated main version. Press rebase and wait. It'll take your modified files from your old version and bring them over to your new version. In my case things went smoothly since Git Desktop handled everything on its own, but if there were something causing conflict, it would let you know by showing you a pop-up, like this. In that case, you can use an external tool called Git Merge to handle the issue, but this is out of my area of expertise. I'll leave a link for you to check it out in the description. I hope this tutorial was helpful in making you visualize how GitHub Desktop is a great tool for your modding journey and will help you tremendously in sorting your mods and files out. There is so much more to learn about the features I discussed in this video, to which I'll leave a link to the official GitHub documentation in the description below, alongside all other resources mentioned until now and the link to the official SM2 Modding Discord server. This video was much longer than I anticipated, but in the end I think I covered everything I wanted. Have fun out there and happy modding!
It was low-key poggers.